Sir?
I think you have it.
All right, we'll call this January 18th Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Feldheim, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Feldheim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are at 8:46, so we'll go on to the RFP opening for fair sound lights and stage equipment.
We did receive 2 RFPs. I don't know if you want these, Rachel, or TMS and Perfect Wave. Let's see, the first one we're opening is TMS.
Where's TMS out of?
They are out of Omaha, Nebraska, and we've had the last 5-year contract with them. Let me try to find their price in here. So they have 2 different prices for a 4-day and a 6-day. For 4-day for 2022, we're looking at $31,790 plus risers. For a 6-day, $38,820 plus risers. And then they do increase that every year. This might be something we want the fair manager to review because there's a lot of pages here. Then they also have the price for the risers. They have 4 8x8 1 or 2 inch rolling risers as needed at $100 per 8x8 1 inch or $125 for 8x8 2 inch. And that price is the same for all year.
So those risers are on the stage when you have like your drum sets and things that you want the presentation of it. And what we're looking for is, TMS has actually been who we've been with for over a decade. We just tried to get it out to all of the folks that are members of Heartland Association, the Fairs Association. There was like 7 others, so I'm not familiar with this other one, but I was excited that we had more than one bid to know that you're kind of in the ballpark. But normally we get the big truck, the screens from them. Those are about $35,000 a year that we get for the whole week to have the video footage on the truck screen. Then as well the stage dress that comes out and the sound and light. So here we have the Perfect Wave RFP, and theirs is, they have a preferred stage they'd like to use unless ours is permanent. Then they have a truss style peaked roof system they would like to use. Otherwise, they're also bidding a 3-year contract for the 3 tent stages at the fair as well. Was that part of the RFP? it wasn't, but we did send out a separate request, because right now we use, what's the name of town? Power Sound, is the current, but they're also up, so we sent it out to anybody that might be interested, so they're bidding both, huh?
It looks like it, and yeah, they have a bunch of pictures, here of their different concerts they've done. They have their lighting package specs.
And they're out of where?
These guys, Rapid City.
Okay.
Right now, the piece that does the free tent entertainment, we pay Power Sound $12,500 a year for that service, but then they've also helped us with the 2 nights of rodeo in the grandstand. So yeah, we might.
For 2022, the Perfect Wave is at $52,700, and for the 6th day, it's at $79,050. So that is significantly more than what TMS bid. And there's also, actually, Yep, it goes up a little bit each year as well. Did you wanna look at these at all, Rachel?
I think I should, just because I'm
I think
curious
so.
what that breakout is.
And I don't know if their RFPs match identically.
Sure.
On the each submitted, probably about 20 pages worth of information, so.
And is that a 5-year contract, your RFP?
That's what we were going for, yeah.
Okay.
There's so much technical stuff in it that
Sure.
5 years would be better.
Well, it makes a difference too, if you get a multi-year commitment, if it's a 1-year deal or.
Yep, both of these are for 2022 through 2026 as requested.
I'd recommend we refer them to the fair manager for review and recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion by Weiss to defer.
Second.
Motion, second by Gage. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Rachel. Good luck going through those.
Yeah.
We have these, and this, there's that.
You'll read through those by about 9:15?
Yeah, I'll get on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rachel.
All right, next on the agenda, first reading, rezone ordinance 209, 210, and 211.
Okay, we have rezone, you guys wanna do these all at once or separately?
One of them is okay with me if it's okay with everybody else.
We have ordinance 209, this is a rezone requested by Steve and Deborah Munger, looking to go from Agricultural Preservation District to Mini Ag. The legal address is Lot 2, Munger Second Edition, in the southeast quarter of Section 17, T121 North, R64 West of the 5th PM. And we have ordinance 210, and this proposed ordinance is zoning rezone, applicant Alex Strug, looking to go from Agricultural Preservation District to Mini Ag. Lot 1, Alex's first edition, in the south half of the southeast quarter of Section 36, T124 North, R65 West of the 5th PM. Then ordinance 211 is the same thing, a zoning rezone. Arietta Dargis is looking to go from Agricultural Preservation District to Mini Ag. Proposed Lot 1, Dargis Edition, in Section 14, T123 North, R60 West of the 5th PM.
I'll move all three.
Okay, motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Feldheim to approve the 3 rezone ordinances. Is there anyone here to speak to any of these ordinances? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Next up, Deanna Harbour, South Dakota Department of Health with the biannual report. Good morning, Deanna, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, thank you for allowing me to do this over video. I have been exposed to COVID, and I am symptomatic, so I thought it best I stay home today. It's been a while since I've been in. It's been about a year since our last commissioners meeting, and we have had some changes with administration, and with that always comes different guidance and rules that we're following, and one of the things was the commissioner's report. So with the new administration, the commissioner's reports, the requirement is that we will meet with you twice a year. If you feel comfortable with that, I can certainly come in quarterly, and I'll leave that decision up to you. But the report will look different. Previously, I provided a lot of statistical information when I came into the meetings, and so we're kind of moving away from that and having the reports be more streamlined so that we're providing the same type of information across the state. With some of our counties being really small, we do have to take into consideration confidentiality. So we'll have some statistical information, but a lot of it will be just more narrative. With COVID, we have had to change how we're doing business down at the office. Our doors are open, we are seeing patients, but we do allow patients that have concerns with COVID to do services over the phone. And so with the uptick in COVID cases right now, we are seeing that trend, again, where people prefer to do most of what they can over the telephone. WIC has offered a supplement to their participants, and we are providing extra dollars for fresh fruits and vegetables. So when the pandemic first started, we did receive some grant dollars So for children, they're receiving $24 a month in fresh fruits and vegetables, $43 for pregnant and postpartum women, and $47 for women that are fully or partially vaccinated. And that will go through the end of March, at which time, the dollars may be there and we may continue to provide those added benefits. I was in Sioux Falls last week, and we are getting a new electronic medical record, and so we were there for training, and with the hopes that we will implement that January 31st. Influenza is on the rise. The numbers are widespread. We are still vaccinating, and we do have vaccines still available in the office for those people that are wishing to be vaccinated. Right now, we are finishing up school services, so we're still contracted with Warner and Hutterville, and so we're wrapping up the school screenings, and then I go out in the spring and do puberty and hygiene teaching to both of those schools. As far as COVID goes, we do have the Vault test available, which is like an internet-based testing that they can be screened via Zoom with a trained professional. And I just got word today that we are going to be receiving a bulk supply of home tests that will be free. It sounds like the emergency manager will also be receiving some of these home tests, so when I get back into the office, I will collaborate with him, and we will get a system in place for distribution and that type of thing. It sounds like we should be receiving them this week or next, but I don't have any specific information as far as the protocol. I just know that we're getting a bulk supply and they will be free. Questions that you have for me?
Any questions of Deanna? I personally feel that the biannual will be enough unless other commissioners feel they would prefer quarterly updates. But I think biannual would be fine.
Okay.
If you
So
do that
then I would just aim,
twice a year,
okay.
Deanna, would that be, end of the year in June, or what are you looking at for?
yeah, I'd probably do January and July,
Okay,
if that works for everybody.
that's fine with me.
Yep, I think that would work
Okay.
for us all.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I will see you all again in July.
Thanks, Deanna. Stay healthy.
Yes, thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. All right, next up on the list, Dave Lunsman, Chief Deputy Sheriff, with GPS program proposal. Morning, Dave.
Morning. Sent the letter ahead of time, just so you have an idea what I'm asking for and why we are. The GPS program started in March of last year in order to alleviate some of our pressure in the jail and to give the court system a little bit more leeway of trying to deal with some of the lower end offenders. Since then, it started a little slow as anything would, but since through most of December, as you can see in the letter here, we've accumulated approximately $47,639 in income from that program. The unfortunate part is it's become very cumbersome for one of our COs to try to do their work and to monitor GPS all the time. And that's why it really has morphed into a full-time position. It's probably more than that, but we'll make do with what we have with some of our other COs. But with the income, I extrapolated it out so that we have an idea that our anticipated income would be in the neighborhood of $57,166 per year. The cost for a brand new CO to come in is at $55,000 and change. So we're looking at maybe in the neighborhood of a couple of $1,000s above in income, so it should pay for itself. And as I mentioned in the letter, we have turned down other counties that have arrested our Brown County citizens for the GPS program, even though they live and work here in Brown County. We've not accepted them just because we didn't have the time. There's just no way. But if we were to accept them, we would keep the money If we had problems, we'd send it off to the other county, they would deal with it as they would normally deal with it. There would be no money exchanged between counties. Are there any questions? Hopefully I gave you a quick overview of what we're looking at.
The funds that are collected, is that paid by the people that are wearing the GPSs? Is that,
That's correct.
any problems over collecting those funds?
We get them ahead of time.
Okay.
So if they don't, they come back to jail.
The numbers you provided, Dave, those were based on the last 9 months of '21.
That's correct.
Numbers. Do you see those numbers going up? Do you see the use of the GPS increasing? So maybe the revenue would also increase?
That's our anticipation, is that those numbers will come up, especially if we start accepting those that have done something wrong in Spring County or other surrounding counties, to where we could monitor them, and that number will go up also.
Sure. So it'll continue to cash flow, if not even show a bit of a profit.
Right,
Okay.
that's our anticipation at this point, yes.
So you're talking about one position, so it'd be basically 40 hours a week, and they'd be able to monitor what they need to manage during
Correct.
those
And then we
hours.
would use our other COs to fill in the blanks of the days that individual is not on. Our current individual, he's done pretty well. There's been a couple little hiccups here and there with any brand-new program. Our biggest hiccup right now is that there's just so many to monitor that it's difficult, especially on the days off, to be able to have somebody else do it all the time. So to have somebody concentrated on not only viewing it, but also putting the monitors on, taking them off, it all takes time. And if, like the example, I think we gave you last week, we had one cut theirs off, which is gonna happen, you can't stop that. But we were able to identify it. They got in their vehicle, a couple of them, and took off and found it in the ditch. And the reason for that is they have an emergency mode, it's called the pursuit mode, and they were able to find it in the snow. Otherwise, that does cost us in the neighborhood of $1,400 per, which we get from that individual. But if they, just like a lot of the bills that come out of the jail, we may or may not ever see that amount of money. So we've done everything we can to keep the costs down and to make this an actual, not necessarily a money maker per se, and it may in the future, but it at least covers all of our costs so that the county is not using tax dollars.
But it provides options for nonviolent offenders that, we don't have to incarcerate, which is a whole another.
Correct. And if you think of that cost too, is a good point, Mike, is that we're not putting them in the jail. We're not costing the county money by putting them into a jail cell and having to do all the things that it takes to monitor them there. Here, we're keeping them outside, a lot less cost for the citizens.
Would this position require any specialized training or education, or do you think it'll be fairly easy to fill?
It is. I think it'd be very easy. In fact, we have some of our current staff that want to move into it, and that's again the same thing. You have to bring somebody else in to fill their spot too, of course.
Sure.
But no specialized training. Well, I shouldn't say that. The person that's doing it right now, if they continued, we wouldn't have to do any training. But if they were to not, they would train. It's not difficult. The program is fairly self-explanatory, of putting geofencing around to keep people where they need to be. They go out, there's an alert that comes back to that individual, and then they find out what's going on. Because sometimes you could be right on the line, and it looks like it's going over the geofence, mowing your lawn, or walking the dog just out front of the house might set it off, actually.
Sure.
So.
All right.
So there's a learning process and there's an evolution to it, but no different than the 24/7 program. That continues to evolve, and the more things that we can do to simplify it, automate it, and people that are just highly irresponsible but not a threat,
Right.
the less we can incarcerate them and keep them in society, but still keep an eye on them and try and help modify their behavior.
Correct, and they're keeping their jobs. They're able to do their job. Our motto is to work and to home. And if you have to grab gas on the way by, that's as far as you get out. If you go any further than that, we're coming to find you.
Sure.
So it's important that we manage our side of that effectively too.
Commissioner Feldheim?
Wages wise, does that fall in line with the level of the other skilled in the jail system and stuff?
Correct. It would be a CO position, no different, so we would, and the reason we decided to leave it as a CO position is we have some availability of moving them. If, say, for example, they get burned out from doing this, we could move them into another CO position and do the same job, and we can move another one over to make it a little more versatile, and it's not a specialized spot that we'd have to hire somebody else for.
Okay.
Same pay scale too, I should have mentioned that, yes.
Any other questions for Dave? Comments?
So it's an additional position, but we have a revenue stream, and it's also minimizing our other expense and liability by not incarcerating people that the judiciary has agreed that this is a viable alternative for. Correct. Okay. Need a motion?
We would entertain a motion to approve the hiring of this, the creation and the hiring of this position.
Move.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Feldheim. Is there any further discussion, any questions of Dave? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Appreciate you working through that
No problem.
diligently. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
All right, that brings us to the end of our scheduled agenda items. Kathy?
We have the general meeting minutes of January 11th.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Cell phone stipend for the IT department.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. That $50 per month was included in the IT budget proposal for the year. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Brown County lobbyist.
Commissioner Weiss?
I was in Pier last week for James River Water Development, and Commissioner Sutton, you've been a legislator before. Some of the issues that we're dealing with the county, with ARPA funds, and some of the taxation issues and jail issues and so forth. And I had a conversation with Julie Johnson, which most of you are familiar with, know Julie. She's in Pier with lobbying credentials for a number of different organizations. And I asked if it would be possible for her to represent Brown County as well with some of the issues we have with some possible legislation coming up for minimal expenses. She agreed that she'd be willing to do that if we were officially designating her to have that authority and position. And so I would propose that we consider doing that.
They need to be a registered lobbyist to lobby for whatever group they're lobbying for, so this would basically give her approval to say that we are employing her as our
Right.
paid lobbyist.
And if we want or need to put a cap on what those expenses might be, its actual expenses, I would think, I don't know.
Do we have like a proposed contract or hourly rate, or what is she? what do you guys
No,
have
she's just
thinking?
talking about expenses, because she's basically there already. I think we didn't get into the details of it. I would think if we did put a cap of like $5,000 or something on it for the session,
I think that would cover the legislative session.
Is there something outside, because we already expend funds through SDACC and SDACO to have lobbyists for the commissioners and our officials.
right.
Would this be on legislation that those two agencies would not be lobbying on our behalf for?
They might be lobbying on the organization as a whole, but for Brown County specifically for issues that we have, and it's pretty common for larger entities, especially cities, to do that. Many of them multiple lobbyists on their behalf in addition to their organizations. And since Julie's already there and the expense will be pretty minimal, she's very well versed in local issues on that. So yeah, our organizations are incredibly valuable, but you know, when it comes to Chris and the lobbyists that we have and Commissioner Sutton's, you know, you're chair of that board, I believe, right now.
Right.
And so they do an effective job, but they're trying to represent all 66 counties.
Yeah.
And so having the ability to be able to, you know, when they're having contact, focus on, you know, our specific situation, I think you've expressed an interest in spending as much time in peer during session as possible.
Plan on it.
On some issues, and I try and stay away from session as much as possible, just because I have enough frustration in my life, but having spent a day there, it refreshed the importance of being there as these things develop fairly quickly, and opportunities, to be able to influence them as opposed to being missed. I think it's important that we consider doing this situation.
And I'm not lobbying for Julie Johnson specifically, but she is local. She lives near Aberdeen and is a real advocate for Aberdeen and its issues. And I know she's intimately involved in northern state issues and other issues that affect our region. And she's always been very involved and attends committee meetings. And I know when I was there, she was Johnny on the spot. If there was an Aberdeen or a Brown County or a Northeast South Dakota issue, she was in the audience and spoke.
Yep. And the other folks that she's there representing, I haven't talked to all of them, but the several that I've talked to and stuff don't see that it would be a conflict for her to represent us in addition to their interests that are already there, so.
Do we have to have some type of contract signed?
That's what I would recommend, is have
Right.
like a contract presented, we can take action when the contract's here, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, I just want to take action on it as quick as possible, because things are developing very quickly, but I want to make sure everybody's aware and we have, fully vetted the conversation, so.
So we could defer action for a week to give Julie the opportunity to draft the contract and bring it to us for approval next week so she can hit the ground running.
I like the idea of a cap or some sort of guidance on the cost, so it just
Right.
doesn't kind of spiral or...
Okay, we'll work on that. I would move to defer it till next week, developing that,
Contract.
those details go with it.
Okay, we have a motion by Weiss to defer action until next week, second by Gage for the discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thanks for the conversation and consideration.
Thank you for reaching out to Julie.
Mileage reimbursement for pulling a trailer with a personal vehicle.
This came up as a result of, we have, in particular, one Fair Board member who, for the last few years, has volunteered to go to Fargo to pick up the curtains that the fair uses during Fair Work Week in the Holem Expo Building. They rent them from a company out of Fargo, so they pull a trailer to Fargo, load the trailer with the curtains, and then bring it back to Aberdeen, set up the curtains, and then they haul it back up when, or I guess they drive and pick up the trailer in Fargo, and then they take it back up after the fair. But the issue that this gentleman has is he's kept track of his actual expenses the last couple of years, and the 42 cents that we reimburse, when you look at the decrease in mileage, it doesn't cover his actual cost, even for the gas that it takes to go to Fargo twice and back. So he requested that we at least consider doing an additional mileage reimbursement when pulling a trailer. That's the only instance that I know that it's pertinent, but there may be other departments that could occasionally have occasion to actually have the need for that. We did a survey of other counties in South Dakota, and I think you saw it in the packet. Not aware of any other county currently that has a mileage reimbursement differential, but just as a suggestion, it's currently 42, and if we would consider maybe doing half of that, add 21 cents to it to make it 63 cents, that would at least cover the cost of the fuel for the 2 trips that they're making to Fargo and back. This is an isolated instance. I don't feel it's going to get out of hand or abused personally, but we would have to approve it, obviously, and monitor it. And the 63 cents is just I throw it out there for discussion. And I would be open to other discussions, suggestions, recommendations, or if no one feels it's necessary, we can not take any action on it.
Well, 47 cents probably doesn't cover it if you're pulling a trailer, because you're on your pickup, you're going from 15 miles down to about 11 miles a gallon. Gas prices are up, but I would think that we do it as a per request basis. Anybody that comes in, that way we have control that it doesn't run rapid. Everybody thinks they're gonna pull a trailer, they're gonna get 63 cents. I think it's just per basis that they have to address the commission if we're gonna grant that 63 cents at this time.
Yep, and I agree, it would have to be approved ultimately by us, so we would still have the final say. Other thoughts?
So the one stipulation would be that it's in there, but it needs pre-approval, just like, for instance, out-of-state travel would be required.
That's the way we could set it up, I believe, couldn't we, Kathy?
Yeah, and what we can do is if you guys approve this, we'll incorporate it into our travel policy, and then every January at the reorganization meeting, this will be a part of that travel policy we approve.
But include the caveat, needs prior approval.
Yeah, but, yeah, we'll have, yeah, even if it's in-state, we'll still have that approval
Mhm.
for travel, for a trailer.
And I did visit with Rachel, and another option would be just to reimburse actual expense for fuel. And she mentioned that, you know, when people do their taxes, that's one of the options they have. If they use their personal vehicle, they can opt for either X amount per mile or actual cost. So that would be another option, maybe we could write into the policy if everyone thought that would work, is either actual fuel cost, which doesn't cover your other maintenance wear and tear, and maybe the 63 cents would, but that would be an option for them too. Or if we want to just keep it simple, just set it at a flat amount and approve that every January. Just food for thought.
I think it's probably simpler to do that,
And then
63 cents.
keep it at a rate, and that stays in line with all of our other travel reimbursements for DMV.
Right. Instead of starting a whole other accounting process for it. And we can adjust that annually if need be, so.
Yeah.
I would make that motion.
That we reimburse at 63 cents a
Yep.
mile when pulling a trailer with pre-approval.
Right.
Okay? We have a motion,
Second.
second by Weiss. Any further discussion?
Do you want then the fair to draft an approval request, or do you want, just to approve that today since you're aware of it?
And since it,
There's enough time out,
There's
they
enough
can
time,
put
okay.
something together, and we
Yeah.
can approve it when it comes
Okay,
out.
I'll let her know then.
she could put together approval, and then any other department could use that same format. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Fair Board Appreciation Stipend?
Move it.
Okay, motion by Feldheim, second by Gage. This is a result of a few years ago, we were brought the idea, the proposal that if a Fair Board member did not spend the week at the fair and have their fair camp spot paid for, that we would reimburse them the average rate of a camp spot to either stay at home or stay in a hotel or whatever. And it was suggested as a result of a change in management at the fair that we do away with that stipend. They're staying at home. It just was felt that it's really unnecessary to reimburse them for staying at home, and that's the reason for the request. Any questions, discussion? We're just eliminating that one line in the policy that they won't be reimbursed if they don't stay in a camp spot at the fair. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Fair contract?
Move.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Feldheim. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Tax deed property?
Patty?
I think you all got your list of what's
Mhm.
on there. I have maybe 6 that I didn't submit, that they are going to be paid off very soon, or they're making payments with us already. They've signed a contract. Those are the ones I haven't heard from.
Okay.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Patty.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Quite a list.
Unfortunately.
Yes, it is.
Set hearing and authorize advertising microsurfacing project.
So moved.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Brings us to the end of our scheduled items and other items. Are there any other matters to come before the commission or any public comment? Anyone here that would like to visit with us today? Welcome to visitors.
Yep, thanks for being here.
I believe we have a request to go into executive session for personnel. Is there any other reason that anyone would have, legal, contracts, anything at all?
Contract.
Contracts? Motion by Feldheim, second by Gates, to go into executive session for contracts and personnel. We are in exec. All right, we're back in